You are listening to the On the Blueline podcast, covering the National Hockey League and more hockey news. Here are your hosts now, Phil Bernardi and Chad Van Duersen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is a special edition of the On the Blueline Hockey podcast. I'm your host, Phil Bernardi. My partner, Chad Van Duersen, couldn't make it tonight. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, this is a special late-night edition of the On the Blueline Hockey podcast. When we last left you, the Blackhawks traded Artemi Panarin for Brandon Saad in a trade between the Blackhawks and the Columbus Blue Jackets. Well, since that point, they've also signed unrestricted free agent Brandon Sharp to a one-year, $800,000 contract, and Brian Campbell has recently just retired. A big question now is going to be, how's Connor Murphy going to fill the void for Campbell? Campbell's still going to be within the Hawks organization, but he's going to be in the business operations department, assisting with various marketing, community relations, and youth hockey initiatives. So it's going to be interesting to see how Connor Murphy steps up, how he fills the void, especially now that not only Brian Campbell, he is out the door. This young kid's got to step up. A lot of these other prospects, Eric Gustafsson, I believe is his name, on defense, he's got to step up. And I believe the Hawks are really going to have to lean on their backup goaltender, and they don't have Scott Darling this year. I do think Anton Forsberg is a great prospect, but he's been sort of unproven in the NHL realm. Next, I want to get to the big money that's been thrown around over the summer. We've seen Connor McDavid sign a contract extension for 8 years, $100 million. Well, Carey Price has recently signed an extension to make him the richest goaltender in history with an 8-year, $84 million contract. Now, that's put a lot of clams in one basket. And the thing is, with putting all your money in a goaltender, even an all-worldly goaltender like Carey Price, how are you going to fill out the roster around you? Well, this is now a big conundrum for the Montreal Canadiens GM Marc Bergevin. I would like to say, though, it's good to see a goalie finally becoming, I guess, the highest paid player on his team, but still, it's smarter to have the money go elsewhere so you can, spend and make your roster more even instead of having, a high-end goalie. Now, what happens when Carey Price gets hurt? Are they going to put him on long-term IR to take his contract off the books? I highly doubt that. So it's going to be a very, very interesting few years for the Montreal Canadiens. Some other news regarding the money. The St. Louis Blues has just re-signed Colton Parayko to a deal. He'll be making now $5.5 million annual average salary. This is not a bad signing for a second-line defenseman, one on the up-and-coming Blues. This is a really good signing, and to keep another guy under contract for a few years, with Pietrangelo on the back end also. I believe Joel Edmondson, there's a few good St. Louis Blues defensemen in front of Jake Allen, and they'll be moving the puck up to the forwards. It's going to be a great season. Well, today's Friday, July 21st. We have 77 more days until the regular season starts for hockey. Training camp will be underway soon. Teams have recently had their developmental camp for their prospects, and it's been exciting to see some prospects from the junior and semi-pro levels getting shots with pro teams and seeing draft picks perform against the other draft picks. As a Colorado fan, I liked seeing Cale Makar doing well in the Burgundy. But other than those really big money signings, there really hasn't been much excitement. Free agency was kind of a dud. It was exciting for the Blackhawk fans to get Saad back. They get a better player, in my opinion, back for a player that Patrick Kane made, so to speak. And that's under contract for the same amount of money, but more years. So I've liked what the Hawks have been doing. They're kind of quietly turning over the roster. It's still going to be interesting to see what Marian Hossa's situation is coming up. But before training camp starts, I think the Hawks will make another move. Whether it is re-signing a veteran, adding another coach, they'll do something to better their team. They usually do, and they always have. So we just want to say that we're found on jedcastradio.com, WJOB 1230 AM, 104.7 FM, WJOB1230.com. We are on YouTube and on the Blueline. We're on the Blueline on Facebook, and our Twitter is at Blueline Podcast. Thank you very much for listening to this special late night edition of the On the Blueline Hockey Podcast. For my partner, Chad Van Dursen, I'd like to say thank you. And for myself, Phil Bernardi, I'd like to say good night, enjoy your weekend, and we may be having some more special late night editions in the future, but as for now, enjoy your nice summer evening. I know we enjoyed our vacation. Keep enjoying yours. Thanks a lot, ladies and gentlemen.